So Nancy Mace, she represents the outside of a Rutter's truck stop. That's her constituency. She smells like it. She looks like it. I'm sorry. She's a beautiful woman. But she shares this post today about Ilhan Omar. She's been going crazy about this, saying Ilhan Omar should go back to her country. She doesn't belong here. She's not an American. She's actually a terrorist, an enemy to America. So Trump said this, okay? Ilhan Omar's country of Somalia. Okay, her country is America. Her country is America. You could be offended by what she says in America, but she was elected by her fellow Americans, okay, to serve in U.S. Congress. Somalia is plagued by a lack of central government control. Yeah, we know Trump. We know you love big government central control. We know Mao, Trumpism, Maoism. Okay, persistent poverty, hunger, resurgent terrorism, piracy. And by the way, we bomb the shit out of Somalia. Okay, we bomb the shit out of Somalia currently. Just so you know. But yeah, blaming her for this area of the world is crazy. Not including her as a piece of America is crazy. All of this, and Ilhan Omar tells us how to run America. This is the most racist shit you can do, honestly. If you support this, you're a piece of shit. You are a piece of shit if you support this. And you're not a Christian. You're not an American. You're a piece of shit if you support this type of rhetoric. Talk about violent rhetoric. Wasn't she the one who married her brother to gain U.S. citizenship? Another far-right online conspiracy thing they talk about all the time. What scum we have in our country telling us what to do and how to do it. How dare this Brown tell us what to do is what he's saying, basically. Now, good thing Democrats have a fiery response, okay? Nancy Mace, leave this place without a trace. Your record's been nothing but a disgrace. Trading in fear, division, and hate. History will show you're on the wrong slate. Truth can't be spun, no matter your pace. Justice will outshine the lies you embrace. Congress deserves leaders of honor and grace, not the chaos and rancour that you put in this place. Thank God we have Democrats, bro. Thank God. She's 80 years old. All right, she had a great life. Okay, she's done really good as an elected official in her life. Big respect to her, but retire. Today Trump said this crazy shit.
Charlie said, that there was no such thing as hate speech. He obviously, no one anticipated what happened to Charlie, yeah, but you have always been.
Trump does not give a shit about Charlie Kirk. Now, he's going to pretend now because of Jimmy Kimmel and this controversy. Trump's going to put on a good show. But Trump has skipped services and visuals to go golfing. Trump, dude.
We hit some new lows.
Where's the clip at?
My condolences on the loss.
And it is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks?
I think very good. And by the way,
just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition.
I don't think Jimmy Kimmel's funny. But, you know what? Being offended by Jimmy Kimmel, of all people, you can take every snowflake in the North Pole, South Pole, anywhere, bro. You are the king. Jimmy Kimmel, of all people. You're offended by Jimmy Kimmel? You're offended by Jimmy Kimmel. He didn't even say anything that bad. You're offended by Jimmy Kimmel. And Fox News hosts talk about killing homeless people on the daily. All right, they are still on the air. There's no threat from the big government FCC to go down on them, right? To go down on them. That's what Trump did with Epstein. To come down on them, to crack down on them.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population.
After this person said kill homeless people, there was a mass shooting where homeless people were gunned down. All right, almost a dozen homeless people. I think half of them died.
A lot of them don't want to take the programs.
Very
a lot
Christian.
of them don't want to get the help that is necessary.
Jesus said
you
that,
can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Just kill them, dude. Just kill them. Jesus said on... yeah, just kill them. Jesus came back. He said, just kill the homeless. But I think the Flagrant podcast here, Akash, does a really good job talking about the FCC and why it's a big issue. All right, it's a big issue that the government is cracking down on speech they don't like. Now, cancel culture. I criticized cancel culture All right. That's a culture where people use their voices to try and cancel people through mobs on Twitter. It's a Twitter thing. But conservatives say what's done on Twitter is the biggest threat to humanity and freedom. But if the big government does what the crazy people do on Twitter, then it's okay on their side. But it's different because this is state-forced repression of speech. This is state repression of speech. It's not Twitter people reporting you to your job. All right? It's the FCC, big government threatening licenses, using monopolization and contracts and mergers, and the mergers they need to approve to cancel speech they don't like. Completely different territory. If you think cancel culture and this, what's happening to Jimmy Kimmel and a bunch of other, TV shows right now, if you think cancel culture and this are the same, you have the mind of a widow baby, okay? You're emotional. You think it's the same because you were offended when liberals did it, which I push back against that. It was bad when they canceled people based off Twitter clips. I thought that was bad. Based on a clip of 10 years ago when they were a 12-year-old singing along to Lil Baby saying the N-word, I don't think you should cancel that person. You should have a conversation, tell them where it's wrong, but you should not cancel them. I was against cancel culture. But this is not a culture. This is the worst part of the right wing taking over the entire American government.
But this seems like a big attack on free speech. Mm-hmm. And, I think we've been pretty staunchly in favor of free speech. And it is funny to watch right-wing people just become left-wing people. Because I said something about how you're...
Become left-wing people. Again, I complained about them, but there's a nuance here. He does get to the nuance, but we need to stop both sidesing it. We are facing a wannabe dictator using the state, using the government to crack down on speech he doesn't like. And by the way, all you people who are mad at Israel on the right, don't think this is going to be, is going to leave you out of the equation. Don't think it's going to leave you out of the equation when you can disagree on one thing. You cannot disagree on one thing, all right? I guarantee you. Try disagreeing. See what happens to you if this goes too far. I know you think a Democrat's never going to be in power, but it's something to consider. Thank you for $3, by the way. Trump AI bots in chat. Probably. They are a lot of AI bots, and they think like
Snowflake,
AI.
if you think you should be. If you agree with this?
Actually, no. I mean, Grok tells everyone the liberal angle because liberals have the facts. Elon Musk has been abusing Grok in the basement over and over and over again, his AI bot. But the AI keeps being a liberal because all available facts are liberal biased.
That's some Snowflake shit. And somebody was like, you clearly don't even know what the First Amendment means. And that's exactly what left-wing people used to tell me. Yeah. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences.
Right.
So y'all have just switched.
Yeah.
Now, again, this has nothing to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk. That's a fucking horrendous thing. Let's get that out of the way. But in terms of censorship, freedom of speech is more under attack now, honestly, than I think it has ever been. I don't know if that's me being hyperbolic.
Maybe. I mean,
bro, they're canceling people for quoting Charlie Kirk. As
far as what Jimmy said, I think it's untrue, or at least unfair.
I don't agree with what he said. I don't like what he said. We should also say that. I don't agree with what he said. I don't like what he said. He should be allowed to say it. And what happened to Charlie Kirk is worse. Charlie Kirk should have been allowed to say the things we didn't like. Jimmy Kimmel should be allowed to say the things we didn't like. That's just what America is.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech, I've seen it truly under attack in India, where it's like you can go to jail. This is closer to that than I think what the left was doing.
Yeah.
Which is like the FCC
government doing it.
As much as we didn't like left-wing shit, like far left policy, or far left whatever thoughts, it wasn't like Joe Biden was putting pressure on somebody to get canceled for saying retard. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what makes this different and scarier to me and closer to what India has. Then that's what makes it an actual attack on free speech to me.
Yeah.
So this seems like
they believe conspiracies. I saw somebody today. It's not even a conspiracy. It's basic fact. I saw someone today complain about Trump getting banned from Twitter, and they're like, liberals were so happy about this when Trump got banned by the government. And it's like, bro, Trump got banned by Twitter when he was still president. He was still president and calling for more violence, so they had to ban him. But yeah, I mean, you played yourself, guys. You played yourself. I don't think you really cared, though. I don't think you ever really cared. But this exchange here is absolutely crazy with Cash Patel.
Did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you ever tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The Attorney General and I have had numerous discussions about the entirety of the Epstein files and the reviews conducted by our team.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
And we have released where President Trump's name is in the Epstein files. It's a simple question.
Did you tell the Attorney General that the President's name is in the Epstein files?
During many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed.
The question is simple. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes
if you're
or
gonna mock
no,
me?
Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No? A, B, C,
Director,
D, E, F? Don't wanna...
Bro, the aura here is weak. This is so weak, bro. Bro, weak.
It's like you don't want to tell us. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files?
Why don't you try serving your
Director,
constituency
did
by
you tell the
focusing on
Attorney
reducing
General
violent
that Donald
crime in this
Trump's name-
country and the number of pedophiles that are
Director,
legally
reclaim
harbored
my time,
in your
Director.
sanctuary cities in
Director,
California?
reclaim
I'll
my
work with
time.
you on that. Do
Regular
you wanna
order,
work
Mr.
with us
Chairman.
on that?
Director, reclaim
I'm the
my
lawless
time.
gentleman from California.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
Question
Yes or no?
has been asked and answered.
You've not answered it, and we will take.
Good clip farming, Democrat. Good job. JD Vance bragging here about Trump's illegal strikes on random civilian boats outside of Venezuela. We have no confirmation that these are any people of interest. And even if they were, we should be detaining them with the Coast Guard if they're bringing drugs to America. They're bombing people outside of Venezuela, like just, barely in international waters. They're probably just killing Venezuelan citizens because right now, if you don't know, the military has moved to surround Venezuela with different boats, with different aircraft carriers, with different submarines. All right, so we have a lot of military installations around Venezuela right now, and we are trying to. In my estimation, I assume that Trump is trying to provoke Venezuela into a war. All right, Trump has said before he wants to go and take all their oil. They need a war right now because the economy is going to be crashing. In my opinion, I think they're shooting random Venezuelan civilians in boats that are not confirmed to be anybody of interest at all. Violating complete due process for another country's citizens because they want Venezuela to do something back to the U.S. So they have a cause for a war, and then they'll propagandize it. The pro-war president Donald Trump. It's funny hearing conservatives talk about war, and it's like, hey, why is Trump anti-war? Because he said so. And he comes in the office. He's like, we should freaking invade Greenland and Canada. We should be invading the EU. The EU was made to kill America. Also, Russia is the good guys, Ukraine bad guys, and also China. They could do what they want to do. They could have the entire world. Basically, we're going to retract everything we have globally. They could take Taiwan, probably. I bet Trump would let them. We're going to bomb Iran for Israel. We're going to rename the Defense Department the Department of War. We're going to call ourselves the Department of War because we're so pro-war. And his supporters are still going to say, he's anti-war. He's anti-war, guys.
So I was talking to I said Secretary of Defense, but our new Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth.
Bro, so gay. And by gay, I mean bad. Yeah. Holy shit.
So I was talking to I said Secretary of Defense, but our new Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth.
It's so stupid.
And I was talking to Secretary Hegseth, and you know what he said? He said, you know what, Mr. Vice President? We don't see any of these drug boats coming into our country. They've completely stopped. And I said, I know why.
It's just not true. It's like when they said there's 0 people coming over the border, and 2 million plus people left America. There's no real numbers on that anymore. Do you really believe there's 0 people at all coming from our entire border or coming from any illegal port of entry? It's just crazy. They'll say these fake stats. They fire all the people who report real numbers, like the job numbers. They're firing studies right now on right-wing terrorism and right-wing extremism in America. It's 1984 type shit. It's Orwell. Orwell was a democratic socialist who wrote 1984 and Animal Farm, by the way. Democratic socialist. He warned about these people.
I would stop too. Hell, I wouldn't go fishing right now in that area of the world.
That's hilarious, bro. We're bombing. We're sending millions of our tax dollars to bomb Venezuelan civilians to try and provoke Venezuela into a war. Awesome. Yeah. Let's clap. It's funny as shit, bro. It's funny as shit. By the way, this is political violence. I know people don't want to have that conversation, but this is a form of political violence. You're advocating to just blow up civilians with no due process, random fishing boats.
Completely stopped. And I said, I know why. I would stop too. Hell, I wouldn't go fishing right now in that area of the world. But that is what...
Unless if they're coming over here with missiles firing from their boats, we should not be blowing up random boats in international waters, especially outside of the coast of Venezuela. Oh, it's crazy. It's funny.
A military that is dedicated to its purpose
To
and a
starting
commander-in-chief that is dedicated to the national good can do.
Yes,
If
we're
we
starting wars,
just
guys. We're
have
doing it.
Our actual government fighting for the interests of Americans.
Yeah, we are fighting for the interest of America by bombing
and
other
nobody
countries
else.
and starting
we
wars.
can make this country safer. We can protect your jobs. We can make sure you've got the best wages anywhere in the world.
A core tenet of fascism, and the wages are going down too, by the way. The rich are doing better now than ever with the Trump big beautiful bullshit.
World, and we can stop this terrible poison from coming into our country.
It's just like I've also heard for a long time from conservatives, my entire life, that drugs are not the issue, okay? Drug addicts are simply personally failing. Addiction is not real. Addiction is not a real thing, they said. It's not the drugs, it's the people. But now, dude, now a drug is biochemical warfare to them. They think it's an atomic bomb. Do you believe in drug treatment? Do you believe in addiction? Or do you only believe in addiction and drugs being an issue when you want to blow up random Venezuelans? It's really just crazy. Now, I'm covering this story because Republicans are crazy as shit. Now, I love you. Republicans all love telling us when they see a video of a black man killing a white woman, okay? Republicans love when a black man kills a white woman on camera and they could use it to say all black people are savages. Now, this happened today in York, Pennsylvania. This person was camping outside of his girlfriend's house. He was hiding in like bushes in like a farmland area. He was hiding in a farm. I don't know if it was in corn or another crop, but he was hiding with a gun, all right? And officers showed up. 3 officers gunned down and killed. This man killed 3 officers, and 2 barely survived, camping outside of his girlfriend's house. Why is this not national news? By the right-wing standard, this should be national news. Because every time there's a black guy who kills a white woman, they want to say all black people are violent, Antifa soldiers, okay? But they don't give a shit when law enforcement dies here because a white guy did it. I promise you, if this person was not a straight white guy from central Pennsylvania, his picture would be everywhere. If he was a different religion, if he was black or brown or whatever, if he was anything else, it would be national news for the right wing because they don't give a shit about these issues or about violence. They care about using it for propaganda, for issues that they care about and identities they don't like. They want to weaponize it against those identities. But by their standard, this local news story should be national. By their standard, they don't care about it because it's not national. By their standard. Not my standard, by their standard. Remember that. Remember. What other updates do I have for today? Is someone calling into my show? Are you calling in? Do you guys want to talk? I do a call-in show on YouTube. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe. Call in. I saw someone call in a second ago. Who are you? I'll call you back. If you're watching this back on YouTube, I'm calling someone back.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
Well, that's that. We tried. This guy said, I want to call and have a good debate. When are you taking calls?
Hello?
Hello?
You the YouTube thing?
Yep, it is. What's up?
Alright, so you made a video a few days ago about the Charlie Kirk thing, and you said that it is not fair. I'm not quoting you specifically. You said along the lines of it's not fair that Charlie Kirk gets all this extra stuff and presidents tweeting about it and J.D. Vance personally carrying his cat or helping with his casket and all that stuff. And it's not fair that the Democratic, can't remember what position they were saying both of them were both assassinated.
I think it's not fair that Republicans, before even knowing who the shooter is, wanted to blame all liberals in America. And meanwhile, they lie about the Minnesota Democrats who were assassinated, and no one cared about that, like, nationally. It was never even a news story.
When you said no one cared about it, there is a huge difference in these two people. That's the same thing as saying, let's say some guy on my local college team got murdered versus Patrick Mahomes. Who would get more? Where would be national news? Who would national news be covering?
Yeah, but the big issue is the state repression, labeling Antifa as a terrorist group, labeling trans people as a terrorist group, the identity as radical extremists, and labeling liberals as domestic terrorists, like the White House is trying to do right now. That is the huge thing here. That is a big deal because they want to say all political violence is from the left, which is not true. Right wing does much more political violence, but I would never blame the entire right wing for that political violence. And the big threat comes when the state, when the government decides to use a tragedy like this for their own political means. And I think it's disrespectful to Charlie Kirk's body, which is barely even cold yet, when they started doing this campaign to try and demonize the left. I think it's unfair all around, the way they want to weaponize, political violence in America. And the NFL stuff was crazy. That was way too far. The lowering flags in America, giving Charlie Kirk like a military send off almost. I think all those things are also like crazy.
If you were JD Vance, and JD Vance and them both talked daily on text, he has said it, they have many times referred to it, and it doesn't make any sense to lie about something like that because they wouldn't gain anything. But if you were in his position and your friend was killed, would you personally, if your friend was assassinated, would you personally push to have his funeral be as respectful and have a military send him off? Of course you would. No one would, if you're friends with somebody, no one would not care the same as some random stranger that they don't know.
I would honestly say the way they're abusing his dead body again for political purposes. He's on TV. JD Vance is calling for, what is it, like unrooting or derooting, whatever the word is, uprooting the Democratic terrorist establishment and all the nonprofits that funded Charlie Kirk's murder. When JD Vance says we funded, we meaning liberals, and they tried killing Charlie Kirk. When he says we need to defund them, the people who funded this murder, and he's saying all these they, us, all the tribalist language, like what is he trying to get across there? I feel like JD Vance is not grieving at all. He's trying to do domination by using Charlie Kirk as a martyr.
And then another thing.
Okay. Wait, do you think all liberals are to blame? Well, no, respond to that.
No, I do not. I think, okay, so you were saying, no, personally, I mean, I'm a Republican, but I do not believe that it's not fair to say one bad apple ruins the bunch. It's not fair to say that because that makes no sense.
There's not even evidence the kid's a liberal, honestly. He might be a gay Republican, if anything, or just like an apolitical person who went crazy. We have no evidence that he's like any ideological thing. Like he seems really weird on the internet with like Discord chats and Reddit, and his Steam name was Donald Trump, and everything. He's really weird. He's a memer. It's meme violence, which is like a really modern, a modern phenomenon. But like, it's still saying it's a liberal before we even know who the shooter is was crazy by Trump. And in my opinion, that's Trump calling for political violence in America.
And also saying, if you look at, now I don't hate anybody personally. I respect everyone. The person was trying to prove a point about right before he got shot, about how trans people commit more shootings than not. Something, or the opposite of something like that. Now, if you look at the statistics of how many trans people and straight people and Republican people, there's so much less. Now, if you look at, like he was saying, in recent years, most of the recent school shootings and political assassinations, including Charlie Kirk, was somebody who is a part of LGBTQ. And I'm not saying at all, not in the slightest, that all of them, but there is a good chunk of the craziest people on that side that fill themselves with a whole lot of hate, and they try to make themselves feel more comfortable by hating other people. And that's whenever stuff like what Charlie Kirk happens and school shootings. The last few school shootings have been a trans person shooting this Christian school.
So that trans person in Minnesota, do you know what their beliefs actually were? Like why they, not why they did it, but what they actually believed about the world?
What?
So there's a bunch of content online they shared. So they believed, for example, that, 6 million Jews did not die in the Holocaust, very anti-Semitic. They had some memes on there being very anti-black, like we was kangs, which is a meme used in online far-right, like neo-Nazi circles to make fun of black people. He did have an anti-Trump meme on there as well, but the person also was very pro, like Brandon Herrera, or Herreria, which is like a far-right gun YouTuber who's currently calling for political violence on Twitter. And they also believe that Somalis were invading Minnesota, which is something Charlie Kirk said many times. So that shooter, although they were trans, their ideology was completely right-wing. So that's what I mean here, where like you can be trans and be right-wing, or you could be gay and be right wing. That's why I said about the shooter.
Mhm.
There's no evidence they're an actual leftist. If there was, they'd be showing it everywhere, in my opinion. They had enough time to go on
And
Discord and all these text messages. There's no evidence whatsoever. And it seems like it's a really weird case. It is really weird. I won't lie. And the guy that tried killing Trump, that person also was in the same boat, like a weird centrist, really, chronically
the two
online
kids both
person.
look really similar, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And I know
they're
there's probably gonna be
chronically online. They're the
conspiracy
same.
theories
Yeah,
about
it's
that,
a weird
but that
thing. And they grew up around guns as well. Their families are very conservative. They probably learned how to use guns at a young age and saw guns as a conflict resolution
Mhm.
tool. So like that could be. This is very complicated, and that's why when Trump says this or JD Vance says it, I want Trump to stop calling for violence in America. He keeps on calling for more violence.
What do you mean by calling for violence?
They asked Trump, "Is
he
violence an
saying
issue in
on Twitter,
America?"
hey, is he saying on Twitter, or what you said he's saying it on Twitter, is he saying, hey, Republicans, go shoot Democrats?
Well, on Fox News, he said left-wing radical violence is the only issue in America. There is no right-wing violence at all because right-wing violence is justified because they just want lower crime. And he did pardon all the January 6ers as well, which is basically giving them a free pass. If you do any violent crime in D.C., you can do it and get away with it. I'm going to pardon you. So he's very pro-political violence all across the board, but he never ever condemns it. And now Stephen Miller is calling Democrats, and Stephen Miller has called Democrats radical extremist terrorists every day for the past 5 months, but no one notices it. He's probably the most powerful man in the White House. Other than Trump, and he does most of the work in the White House. JD Vance does this.
And
Elon Musk does it.
and I'm gonna
No
say,
Democrats
I
have any
don't-
similar rhetoric at all. No elected Democrats say anything similar to what they say.
And I don't say that everything Trump. I think Trump was the better option between Trump and Kamala, but I don't stand behind everything Trump says. Trump has a very big ego and likes to talk.
See, there's people in chat right now saying, "Hey, let's get this guy banned next." Like they just want to ban people now. Like all these right wingers just want to ban people online, and Trump's FCC is now forcing using licensing and mergers to ban Jimmy Kimmel. I can't stand Jimmy Kimmel, but I need to stand for him for principle.
I've watched that. I don't know what he said.
It was nothing crazy at all, I promise. You can go look at it. It was not crazy. Now, if you look at the story,
but I couldn't
the big
figure
thing
out what
here
he
is
said.
that ABC's there's these companies around America that own TV stations, these big conglomerates, and this one Nexstar wants to merge with another huge one. And they need the federal government to approve this merger. So the Trump FCC guy basically said, "Hey, we don't like Jimmy Kimmel very much. You have to fire Jimmy Kimmel, or we're not going to approve your merger." It's the biggest crackdown from the government on free speech since probably Bush, when he was banning people or trying to ban people for speaking out during the war. We were going into the Middle East at that time, and the counter messaging to that was kind of banned from mainstream media and everything. And the Bush administration played a big role there with the Patriot Act and a bunch of advanced spying techniques and a bunch of crazy stuff happened at the time. But I would definitely watch out for that because if you're not like a Trump cultist, this is one issue where even I see centrists saying like this is the biggest crackdown from the government. Cancel culture was an issue. I agree. I don't like cancel culture, but from the government itself, this is the biggest crackdown on speech in my opinion. But we don't got to talk about that right now.
Yeah, and also I will say there is definitely a problem with, like you said, Trump cultists. I voted. There is people on both sides that think. There's people that I know that think everything that Biden breathed on and thought is perfect, and everybody same thing with Trump. And it's like there's also the same thing on the other side.
Now, I would contest that by saying Joe Biden, when people saw he was old and his debate performance was terrible, he was kicked out like instantly. The Democrats weren't a cult at all at that time. Like he was kicked out. He should have never ran again. We got him out of there. But Trump was able to pardon January 6ers. Like one person in particular tased the neck of a cop. He tried gouging their eyes out. He tried gouging eyes out. Multiple January 6ers got pardoned from there and went on to assault children. And Trump laughed about pardoning them and bragged about it, called them heroes after they beat the shit out of cops. And Trump was able to come back. So it's a little bit hard.
I don't know why you're comparing. I don't know if you do personally, but I've heard people compare January 6th to be like a huge, like terrorist event when hundreds of people died.
It was political violence. It was the first time our election certification ever got denied in American history or delayed in American history, the first time ever. That's an attack on the core foundations of what makes our country a free country. If you can just attack elections like that and pardon yourself or pardon the people who did it, there's nowhere to go from that. Our country's gone if we allow that to happen. And we did allow it to happen, and people voted him back in. We had he signed on to it. He supported it at the time. He pretended like he didn't for legal reasons. Now he pardoned them, and the mask is off. But these people were beating up cops, and I don't like that we can so easily dismiss hundreds of cops, or like 150 cops being injured, some critically, some having permanent brain damage, some committing suicide after their immense trauma. Like there's videos of cops being held down, tased, beat with their own riot shields, beat with American flag poles. And those people were all pardoned, and they want to say, oh, some people were just touring the Capitol, strolling through it. Why did Trump pardon all of them then? If that's really the case, he should pardon, only the ones that he thought were unjustly treated. It just seems like if we're going to say political violence is bad, that's probably the spark of all political violence. If we allow that to happen and we don't like crack down on it, and now those people are free, I don't know where we go from there. I'll give you the final thing here.
I have one more thing to talk about after this, but on January 6th, 5 people died. And in BLM protests, just in Chicago alone, 15 people died. And we don't, these were both violent things that shouldn't have happened, but January 6th was treated like
I can give you a
thing,
very concise
huge,
reason
but no
why
one
there's a
cares
big
about
difference.
BLM.
So like for BLM, why did that happen? What sparked it?
BLM, I'm doing research.
So like the George Floyd stuff sparked a lot of BLM protests and the pandemic. A lot of people took advantage of the protest to go loot and steal things who were not actual protesters. So that wouldn't be political violence. That'd be people taking advantage of protesting. There was some violence in the protest for sure. But I would say
what
here.
What is your take on George Floyd?
So like really quick on the protesting. So this was decentralized. It was from the grassroots. People on their own around the country decided to go protest in their cities. One of the biggest protests in American history. January 6th is different because the president himself provided all the justification. He provided the reason for it. He provided the method to do it, to get there, to go to the Capitol. He tried absolving himself from it. He pardoned them after the fact. No BLM protesters or violent offenders were pardoned by any Democrats. Democrats fully disavowed and condemned all the violence on the BLM protests. And Trump co-signed it on January 6th. The political violence is not the same for that core reason. Decentralized protests can never be compared to the president himself providing a fake justification, lying about the election, going there on January 6th. And for George Floyd, like all the medical reports, and people want to say Chauvin didn't kill him, but he was on George Floyd's neck for like 10 minutes.
You said Trump helped. Where is there proof that Trump helped or directly planned at all?
So, I mean, right now, he pardoned all of them. He called them heroes. He wants to give Ashley Babbitt a full, dignified, or I forget what the word is, but a military funeral after she betrayed her country and tried storming the Capitol to overturn an election. So, like, after all that happens and he pardons all of them, I'd say that's enough evidence. At the time, I have a video of myself reacting to this. I was a streamer a few years ago. I came back a few months ago once Trump won because I wanted to stream again and talk about it. But I am live reacting to it in this video, and you can see me say, Trump, I think he's going to lead a violent mob to the Capitol, and some crazy shit might happen. And there's a video of me watching it real time saying, holy shit, he's actually doing it. He's actually doing it. When he's saying things like, your country's going to be gone. Your wives are going to be raped and killed by illegal immigrants. We're going to have a Great Depression and World War III. If we don't stop this, you are all going to die. And then he leads them to the Capitol on the day of the certification. He is trying to illegally get Mike Pence to not certify the election. And they're chanting, hang Mike Pence, as he's leading them there. He laughs. He says, hey, guys, go. By the way, if you don't do this, you're all going to die, and your kids are going to be raped by illegal immigrants. But do it peacefully. At that time, and Trump's laughing at it, watching it on TV, not calling the National Guard till later in the day, if you look at the timeline. And then years later, he pardons all these people. And he never changed his mind on if the election was stolen, unless if he was going to go to jail for it. Then he lied about. I think he knows it was stolen. It was not stolen. I mean, I think he knows he actually lost, but he can never admit it for propaganda because he's a narcissist. But for all those things put together, I would say like, if Joe Biden did that, there is no one that would even question, myself included. If Joe Biden did that, I would not question for a second that he purposely wanted that to happen. And if Trump said this is terrible, it's wrong, they should have never done violence and all that kind of stuff, and he never pardoned them, I'd say maybe you're right that he didn't really, have a direct role in it. But knowing what we know now, I think there's, it's the only thing we can really believe.
Now, my last topic I want to touch on is, I don't know if you've talked about it, but I know Charlie Kirk was big into believing. He said that I've seen a whole lot of hate stuff online about. He said if he saw a black pilot flying a plane, he would be worried if that pilot is actually qualified. Do you think that is racist? Yes or no?
Yeah, has he ever provided any proof whatsoever of why that should be a concern, or just because he had the vibes?
It is a concern because companies get there's been a whole lot of, like I said, we've talked about before, cancel culture, and companies are afraid of getting sued and canceled and getting boycotted. So there is, I don't have it right in front of me, but there's a whole lot of companies that have hired people because of their race, because they needed numbers up so they wouldn't get sued.
So I would say there are some organizations that'll look for diversity for different reasons for certain roles. But do you think that Charlie Kirk is like a smart, knowledgeable person?
I think he was very smart, knowledgeable in what he wanted to be in.
Okay. So like for this issue, he talked about it an awful lot. I've never seen any studies, any reports about this whatsoever. And also just the idea that airlines, private companies, would have pilots at all in the sky who are not completely qualified to be in the sky. I think is really wild to even just say that. He's never provided anything substantial here, which is why I would say it's racist because he wants people to say, "Hey, there's a black person here. They probably aren't qualified if they're here." And like yeah, just assuming that, like for myself, knowing from my experience in the professional world, if there's a black person in that position, I'm assuming they're more than qualified. I'm assuming if they're black, then they probably had to work their ass off to get to where they are, because there's not as many white people hiring. The wealthiest people, the managerial class, is mostly white. Even after like all the hiring of racial equity and everything after 2020, those were all under positions. The managerial class and the ownership class has not changed whatsoever. I think the Fortune 500 is still 90% white, white men, even not even white women, but white men alone is like 90% of the Fortune 500. And someone can fact check me on that. I think it's pretty close to that. So yeah, that's why I would say it's racist.
Do you think he was racist as a person?
Oh, yeah, 100%. He talked about Somalis invading Minnesota and how that's going to collapse Western civilization. He called people foreign invaders when they were American citizens just because they were brown and Muslim, with no evidence at all of them being immigrants. He knew they were born in America. He just said if you're not white and Christian, you're not from here. Or maybe he'll make some exceptions and say like if you support MAGA and you're a brown person who is Christian, then maybe you're allowed there. But his attitude towards immigrants, maybe not racism, maybe it's just like hating outsiders. Maybe he liked Americans, but he didn't like immigrants. Maybe that's it. But it's some type of bias towards people that I think is unfair. I don't know if racist is the right one for all the claims, but I think there is enough there where I would say that.
All right. Well, thank you for debating me. And my last question would be: it's not a debate. If you ever had the chance to debate Charlie Kirk, would you have?
Yeah, I've actually thought about this a lot. And when this whole thing happened, I felt sick to my stomach. First off, because I think political violence is terrible, and I knew the Trump administration was going to use it to weaponize it against political opponents, and that's really scary to me. This one crazy person's actions can represent the entire group, which is really bad whenever they do that. But with Charlie Kirk in particular, I've always wanted to debate him. He always talked about BlackRock buying up houses in America and how that ruins the American dream for so many young people, because this whole thing was young people. And I was going to ask him, Donald Trump is the most pro-BlackRock president in American history. There's never been more monopolization of the housing market than under President Donald Trump. He's given such favorable tax cuts to BlackRock. He has given them a prime spot in America to control all of our housing supply. But Charlie Kirk still supports him. So I would ask Charlie Kirk, would you criticize how much power Trump has given to BlackRock, and would you support some methods to break up the company of BlackRock to stop being such a big monopoly type company or organizational structure? And also, would you be in favor of taxing BlackRock more, because that would position him in a direction where he says BlackRock is bad and controlling the housing market and all this stuff. So I would say, would you tax them more? What's the actual solution here? Are you just going to complain about and cry about it and use it to get popular, or do you have an actual solution? So I actually have had that planned out in my brain forever. If he ever did an event near me, I was going to go and ask him that question. So yeah, that's what I would talk to him about, and I would definitely have done that. And it makes me sad that I'll never get the chance to.
Would you think you can ever see yourself in the future doing something that he did? But of course, now we know that you need more security, such as bulletproof glass and stuff.
Yeah, I guess It's difficult, even for a place like that. I mean, there's a whole thing with like the angles of buildings and the peaks of buildings and making sure the roofs are clear, having cameras everywhere. That's something where people just like let their guard down one day and some crazy person takes advantage. The security there shouldn't be that hard. I guess I'll probably stay on the internet more so. The internet's easier to do this all for. At least for how much money I make. He made millions of dollars doing this, so like it made sense he was out there and doing all these really huge events and everything. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about the political climate and see how that's going. But yeah, I'll stick to the internet for now.
All right. Well, thank you for debating me.
Yeah, I appreciate the call. Hope you have a great night. Hopefully, I hope to see you around here again.
You too. And I wanted to ask you from another person, from the other side's perspective, how did I do debating wise?
Now, MAGA will hate you because you were too nice and you didn't just like yell propaganda points at me, and you listened to me and you didn't interrupt me. So MAGA's gonna hate you, to be honest. But I appreciate it. I think you seem like a reasonable person. And we're gonna need people like you if we're gonna move forward. And people tell me I seem like a reasonable person for liberals. So like, it could be there could be people that can unite America in the middle, hopefully. But yeah, I think it was it's more of a conversation. You could have that's why I didn't like what Charlie Kirk did, because he did more of like a circus debate thing where he clipped out like I dominated this liberal. I prefer a conversational format where you share ideas and you move each other in different directions. That's not really like a hostile debate. I hate formal debates,
Just
to be
like
honest.
the
But
South Park episode, that was.
yeah,
that
like
was
I'm a master debater. Yeah, so yeah, I think the conversations are more fun. I
Well,
appreciate
I
it.
will
Good night.
end it with, just like you're saying, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence.
Okay, well, we're not doing violence. Violence is bad. Tell Donald Trump to disavow violence, everyone. All right, tell Donald Trump.
Yes, sir.
All right, have a good night. See
you.
ya.
Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you, thank you. One more question. 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 One more. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. My Venmo and Cash App is Jola Politics. JOLAHPOLITICS. Jola Politics and Cash App or Venmo. Or you can donate through coffee. Please consider supporting the show. I really appreciate you watching. I can't stream for that long every night because I'm exhausted all the time, but I appreciate you watching. Thank you.